As someone who grew up in a single-parent household, my childhood experience was quite difficult. My parents were not happily married and they often argued over trivial matters. My father was a short-tempered man who often lost his temper without any reason. I would often feel very scared because I didn't know when he would explode. Later, my father seriously injured someone in a confrontation, which led to him being put in jail. My mother chose to leave my father, but for me, the decision was not easy. It was a very big blow to me. I also couldn't understand why my father would act that way, and it left me frustrated and confused. All of this had a profound effect on my perception of marriage. I have a lot of fear and anxiety about marriage. I didn't want to repeat the pain my parents had experienced, and I didn't want to sacrifice my happiness for a relationship. I had my first boyfriend while in college. At first I was reluctant towards him, but his sincerity and persistence eventually impressed me. We went through a lot during this time and our relationship became stronger. I love my boyfriend very much, which is something I have never felt before. He is a very considerate person. We have a lot in common, we like the same things, and have similar ideas. I envision a future where I hope we can spend our lives together. I believe our relationship can stand the test of time because it is based on sincerity and mutual understanding. In the third year of our relationship, I inadvertently found out about my boyfriend's cheating. That night, my boyfriend was taking a shower when I found a text message from a strange woman on his phone. When I opened the chat log, I found out that they had been dating for some time. This fact broke my heart and I felt like my world had caved in. I was so shocked and disappointed that I couldn't imagine why he would cheat on me. I wanted to find him and set the record straight. I wanted to know why he would do such a thing. When I told him about it, he acted calmly, as if he didn't feel guilty. Finally, he proposed a breakup. When he told me about this decision, I felt my heart twist in pain. I wanted to end it all, because I couldn't trust him anymore and couldn't stand the hurt he had caused me. The more I thought about it after my boyfriend left, the sadder I got. I wanted to end it all. I took a box of cephalexin, and then I drank half a bottle of rum. At that time, I was very depressed and my whole being was in an unstable state. I was constantly crying and throwing tantrums, and my mom noticed my unusual mood when she got off work. Mom was so nervous that she immediately called the emergency number. She then laid me down on the bed and tried to stabilize my mood and breathing. A short time later, I was rushed to the hospital. Before I arrived at the hospital, I was completely unconscious. When I opened my eyes, I found myself lying in a hospital bed surrounded by the glow of fluorescent lights. I saw a doctor dressed in white. He was intently looking at the information on top of the computer. I looked to my right and saw my body. I was surprised to find that my body was no longer that of a healthy young man. My skin was so pale that it was very difficult to breathe normally. I felt like a lifeless, empty shell of my body. At this time, I felt a deep sense of fear and helplessness, not knowing whether I would be able to recover from this state. Suddenly, I appeared in a darkness. I felt my soul being pulled by an invisible force that seemed to be taking me in a certain direction. I couldn't see anything around me, only a pitch-black nothingness. As I was pulled forward, I began to feel an endless sense of fear and oppression. My heart was filled with a sense of foreboding, as if I was about to face something terrible. A huge door appeared in front of me. The door was inlaid with fiery red gems and emitted strong energy fluctuations. By the door stood two tall dark creatures with wings and sharp claws. their eyes revealing an evil aura. The door slowly opened, and the moment I walked through it, I saw a sight that completely broke me. I had arrived at a place of unparalleled horror. This was hell. All around me was a sea of fire, and the air smelled foul and burnt. Everywhere were those dark creatures, with cruelty and evil glinting in their eyes. I felt my soul was firmly bound in chains, unable to move freely. I screamed in pain, but the creatures around me didn't seem to care about my presence. They went about their business. I collapsed helplessly to the ground, my screams fading into this hell as if it would never end. My fear gradually turned into despair, feeling trapped in this dark place from which I could no longer escape. I tried to find a way out, but no matter where I went, I felt like I was always in the same place. It was as if there were countless hands grasping me, trying to drag me into the abyss. In the darkness, I saw some blurred figures, which kept twisting and distorting. They were emitting a suffocating stench, as if they were the scent of death. Hell was full of pain and suffering. I saw the sinners being whipped and roasted in the fire, and their pain was heartbreaking. My soul was wrecked, but I would not give up. I began to call on the name of God. That was my last hope in hell. As I was praying, I saw a blue light flash by. I saw a pillar of light fall to the ground. I heard a voice say, "It's okay, I will save you." I saw an angel. The angel said, "We don't have time, we must go quickly." They took me into the pillar of light. The movement and the light made me feel a little uncomfortable, so I closed my eyes for a while. Sometimes I got curious and opened my eyes every once in a while. When I opened my eyes, I saw a huge staircase in the sky. I saw an old man holding a cat and walking up the stairway. At the end of the stairway was a gate. I knew that was the gate to enter heaven. I saw a lot of people standing in front of the gate to heaven. Most of them were dressed in white, with happy smiles, and looked very happy. I saw them hugging each other and blessing each other. They were all waiting for a signal that would let them pass through the gates of heaven and enter the eternal world. I knew that this was my true home. I also began to look forward to seeing my deceased loved ones. It was at this time that the angel stopped me. He told me that I could not go in just yet. Then, he took me to a beautiful lake. The water of the lake was very clear. There was an island in the middle of the lake with trees growing on it. There was a patch of flowers blooming around the lake with a faint fragrance. There were several benches under the trees. The breeze blew against my cheeks, making me feel relaxed. There, I saw a man in a robe, about 40 years old, and to his right stood an angel with wings. I realized that he was Jesus. The angel asked me, "Why are you here?" I began to explain that I didn't think the world was fair, and I didn't want to be there anymore. The angel looked at me and said, "Who told you that this is a fair world? Each person experiences what they choose. Your time is not up yet, you have to go back." I refused his request. I wanted to stay here. Jesus looked at me, his eyes were full of love and tenderness, as if he could penetrate the depths of my heart. He said, "I know how you feel, I understand your pain and anguish. But you cannot stay here. Your time has not yet come, your mission has not yet been completed. You must go back." His voice made me feel very calm. I said, "I will go back, but I don't know how to face the person who hurt me. I don't know what to do." Jesus smiled and replied, "You need to learn to forgive and love. No one is perfect, and we must forgive others for their mistakes. It is not easy, but it is necessary. you will receive help and guidance in this area. Jesus went on to explain to me that heaven is a very safe place where souls will be protected and cared for in the most perfect way. In heaven, each person has his own place, and this place is determined by his behavior on earth. Jesus also told me that he made a covenant with God. As God's spokesman, he must fulfill this covenant. This covenant was made about the ultimate purpose and meaning of all life. Although it was not an easy task, Jesus was the one who had to fulfill it because God believed that he could help souls to accomplish this task. I have to go through some difficulties and challenges that are meant for me to grow and progress. I cannot run away from the challenges and responsibilities in my life. I have to face and solve them. For me, going back is not a very good thing. I told Jesus, "You can't watch people hurt me, you should protect me." If I was going back, I wanted him to take care of things. He looked at me and said, "My child, I cannot cause pain to others, I can only heal those who are hurting." Jesus asked me, "Do you know why I saved you from hell?" Although I didn't know the answer, I knew that the angel was sent by Jesus to save me. I realized in that moment that Jesus had been there for me all along. After I listened to his words, I understood the true meaning and significance of life. He looked at me and smiled, and then nodded his head. I knew I had to go back to earth to continue my journey. He told me that I could always pray to him and he would give me guidance and support when necessary. Then, he and the angel disappeared. As I was preparing to return, I saw a strange phenomenon. In the darkness, I saw a pair of bright eyes. They were like two stars that shone in the darkness. These eyes illuminated my way forward, and I knew that I was not alone. Although darkness still enveloped me, I was filled with courage and hope within. I knew that Jesus was always with me. As I returned to my body, I felt my heart beat. When I first came back, my heart was full of confusion and fear because I couldn't understand what this experience was really about. My mother didn't believe my story, and that made me feel alone and lost. I knew what I was going through, and I believed that God was always watching over me, and that he would help me through it. I was hurting so much inside because of this relationship. But, I knew I needed to change. As time went on, God healed my inner wounds, and made me believe in love and marriage again. I met a guy, and we were attracted to each other. I wasn't sure if I should be with him. However, when he confessed his feelings for me, I accepted his feelings. We soon got married. Soon after, we welcomed our first child. I felt very happy and grateful to God for giving me the opportunity to experience the joy of motherhood. In 2012, we welcomed our second child. I didn't believe in God at first, but he kept an eye on me. He helped me through the difficulties and healed my inner wounds. I am thankful to God and to this experience for making me the person I am today.